We're gonna watch the video?
Sure.
Oh my God. Saeed. Hey, come here. I got you. Saeed, come here.
Zoe, you can't. Zoe, you can't.
23.
No.
He's consensual.
No, he's not consenting.
Yes, he is.
He's not even saying nothing.
He likes it. Yeah, give.
Oh, no.
I don't think he wants to.
Yeah, stay right there. Stay right there. Stay right there. Stay right there. Hold on. Hold on. Sit down.
Yo.
Sit down. Sit down. You got it.
You about me?
Yo.
Silky.
It's
Saeed!
No! Nah, they got it, bro.
Take all of this off. Take it off. Hey, yo, cut the cameras. Cut the cameras. Yo, cut the cameras, bro. Don't do your... Look at my Louis Vuitton store. Hold on. No outside clothes on the bed. Hold on. What's going on?
You can't just forcibly take
It's not gonna be like it's mutual.
Get that bag. Get that bag. This is a nice bag. Hold on, this is a nice bag.
Yo!
How much this cost? No. Started from the top.
Yo. What? Yo,
Oh, I need this. I needed this. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Zoe, he's not consenting. He's not consenting.
Let's go.
Ah, no way.
Nah, like, let's go. You gotta. You gotta go. Go. Oh, shit. Oh. You ready, Emily? You ready?
Yeah, go ahead, Nina.
All right.
I'm sorry for subjecting you. It's just...
Okay, Fred.
Finding my sensibilities.
Concentrating on the bottom.
Okay, girl.
No, Nina. Oh my. Wow, you have the best masseuse, Toast.
That was good.
Wow, she is so bold.
My spine.
You love to see it.
All right.
So bold, so bold. Yep, keep it up.
Push.
Yep.
So, do you know what you just watched?
No.
God, you don't know. I didn't know either until, I don't know how I stumbled across this. I think it was on like one of those stupid Instagram pages that post about like Twitch streamers or something.
So it's
That was Nina Lin, and she's a famous Twitch streamer. And I explained to you earlier today what Twitch is.
I thought that's an involuntary reaction physically on Twitch. Like,
No,
what's a Twitch stream?
So she was the physical embodiment of an involuntary action in a person. But
what really is it?
Twitch is it's a streaming platform.
Okay.
And people record themselves playing video games. They record themselves interacting with an audience in live time.
This looks like pranks.
Yeah, they do like pranks.
I mean, the massage one was a prank.
Yeah.
Right, on some unexpected guy.
Yeah, so it's like this. I don't know. It's like I'm not actually young enough to.
What's her genre then? Like, she's not watching video games.
I think she's a in real life streamer is what they're called.
Okay.
And yeah, they go around doing stupid stuff, streaming it, and there's people watching, and they'll comment in like a chat box, and they'll interact with the streamer as they do these things, and then everyone's synapses are melting, and they're all getting stupider in unison.
I can see how certain things can be fun. I mean, it's like, I don't know, like entertainment's entertainment, but this in particular has become a bit notorious. Explain why and why we're talking about this.
I just wanted to talk about Twitch. No, so this streamer Nina Lin apparently has 2 or 3 million subscribers, something really crazy like that, and that hey buddy, and that the first 2 clips that we watched were resurfaced. I guess they're from some years ago. I'm not sure exactly how long. And people were up in arms when they rediscovered these clips because they said she's sexually assaulting the assistant in that video.
Yeah, so the first one, we can obviously see that there's somebody who works for her, where her and another young female are interacting with him in a manner where it's somewhat sexualized, and they're making a joke about him consenting and enjoying it, and he wants it, and there's obviously touching, and then goes to a closed room, and other things are going on. It all seems to be within part of what her sort of prank type of style of thing is, and it seems to be joking and not meant to, in my opinion, when I look at not meant to harm, but obviously we're hearing he's not consenting. I don't think he really wants this, and he's entitled to his own personal bodily integrity. Is that what caused the controversy?
So yes.
I'm just inquiring as an inquiring mind.
No, of course.
Because I didn't see this.
So the individual in the video, his name was Said. He was an assistant to the third streamer. There was 3 streamers. There was the 2 women, and then the guy sitting on the chair saying no. Okay. His streaming name is Silky. Okay. So Zoe, Silky, and Lina. Lina was the streamer in question who was holding on to him, and then Zoe was the one making the twerking on him. Anyways, I can find a nice way to say it. And then they take him to the room, and
we're grown men. It's okay. We can say these things. She was twerking.
She was twerking on him.
Okay.
So it raises a lot of questions because people have been commenting and saying, why does she not face any consequences? Twitch.
Were there any consequences when these resurfaced? What happened?
My understanding is that she's been banned from Twitch several times.
For short periods of time.
Yeah, for short. Like once it was one day, once it was longer, but she keeps coming back to Twitch. She made some public comments.
She still has a very strong following.
Yep. She made public comments about her ban from Twitch being like a vacation and kind of mocking the whole situation.
In other words, not taking the issue seriously.
Yes. So there was there was an apology that people felt was half-hearted, and there was another instance where she was mocking the victim for being a male and a victim at the same time, like scare quotes around victim, saying that it's embarrassing or something of that sort. It's all online. This is roughly what happened. And the interesting thing is, I guess, our notion of consent and how far it has become disconnected from the past, and whether we're all on the same page anymore or not. And also the double standards that are at play, because that's, I think, very clear from the tenor of the video.
Okay, so there's really 2 types of video here. There's one involving somebody she works with who's under her authority as an employee, and there's the one pushing the guy, which I guess is also somebody she works with.
She slapped him on the butt.
On the bum, getting into the car. But then there's somebody who has no connection to her at all, which was a prank. He was getting a massage at some venue and understood that he was getting a massage from somebody who was a professional, and then she substituted in and tapped his bum and did a bit of a massage, and it was just playing around.
And then he made that statement about...
What was his statement?
Let me read it.
Yeah, just get it right.
Yeah, because this one, it does have a lot of familiar themes, the way that he discusses it. So this is DSG Toast, who's verified on X. So I'm not sure what a stranger he is or not. But anyway, this clip is going around with a recent convo, so I'll address it. He says, I was trying to get a massage from the physical therapist when Nina, an IRL streamer in real life, I've never met, pushed aside the therapist and started grabbing at my ass while I was already laid on the table. I felt pressured to go along with it because 3 in real life streamer cameras pointed at my face, and also being at a sponsored event, I did not want to escalate the situation. I was extremely uncomfortable the whole time. Definitely should have said something in the moment and regret not doing so, and honestly a little ashamed of myself for not speaking up, because I just know if I ever spoke about it again in the future, people will say, well, you should have stopped it then.
Well, he's expressing he was uncomfortable at the time. He felt he couldn't do anything because there's cameras on him. He's at a particular event, doesn't want to escalate, and regrets not saying something, which he doesn't have to, because again, no victim of a sexual assault has to behave in a particular way or particularly object at that time, because it's being done without his consent in any event.
Correct. And there's also a mistaken identity with going on, because he was...
It's not the massage therapist.
Exactly.
Yeah. But one thing is, if this was a female employee and a female person who was getting the massage, and it was a male influencer or whatever, content creator, it would be, the ramifications would be far different. Is that, do we think that would be true? I think so.
I think yes.
Okay, so I guess we're looking at this because there's some online controversy about it, and when you look at it, we can see that there's clearly a double standard when the victim of an unwanted act is a male versus a female, and a male victim may get more ridiculed because of their objection to it, simply because they're male and they would not normally be objecting to it, and some other stereotypical or discriminatory myths about how a male victim might feel. So there's a double standard.
There's most definitely a double standard. And I think it raises the question. You can go one of two ways. Do we apply this? First of all, why is there a double standard? And then secondly, do we apply this standard to the males, to the female assailants, I'm going to call them, to the female accused, or to females as well? Do we apply it both ways, or should we not be applying it either way? Like, what's the problem here? Is it that we're not applying it equally and enough, or is what we're applying just out of touch with something?
I'm fairly certain, BJ's here, we've got Max, we've got, your fiance Sarah here. I mean, we can take a group vote.
Romeo as well.
But Romeo will have to bark. But, I'm fairly certain that if this was a male influencer and that was a female in the massage scenario, that could result in criminal charges. Period.
It would.
And cancellation of the person's online persona. Gone.
Yeah.
Right?
She's back on Twitch, and people are.
I'm just talking about if it was a male.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the first clip. Talk about the first clip.
Well, the first clip, clearly, I mean, everybody will see it, but the first clip, clearly, there's something going on in a work area where they're at, the computers, and then go to a separate room, and I'm not shouting, shut off the cameras or whatever, but to me, it seems...
It's performative.
Everything seems performative to me, right? In a jocular manner that might be in keeping with the way they do things, because I don't know the other material that they have, that could be the way they interact, and they create silly, fun things that go on. And should she be canceled for this?
No, I don't think so.
I agree.
I don't think so. Should she face life-altering charges?
No.
Should she go to prison?
No.
Should everything end? I think.
No. I think everybody who's been following me on this podcast would know where I stand. I think there are limits. There are people who, when you have an unsuspecting individual who is in a very awkward position like that, and, yes, it was a massage and there was touching of the rear end. It wasn't the most invasive sexual assault, and I'm sure I'm going to face criticism for this, but I don't know. I don't like extreme in any direction. I'm curious to see what our viewers will say. But
I have something to add.
Yeah,
that
sure.
may help you to give your point.
Thank you, Jay.
This is from Grok. You have to read the explanation, but this is the list. See the question?
Male Twitch influencers accused. What is this? This is cool. Is it a phone?
Yeah.
Unreal. Okay. Based on public allegations from various sources, including complainant testimonies, Grok calls them survivors, news reports, and community discussion. Grok is woke.
Look at the long list.
Right, so we got Tom, Syndicate Castle, Lono, Say No to Rage, Matthew, Renato, Eric Barone, Craig Apex, Josh. Okay.
That's all Twitch
Sasha,
streamers
Method,
Saying
Stephens,
what?
TVG.
who've been
Badger.
subjected to false allegations in the opposite direction of what he's saying, of what you just saw.
So I'm seeing a lot of them retired. This one faced permanent bans and community exile. Yeah, there's a lot. Community backlash.
There's no doubt that there can be a lot of individuals like that list there, where they faced false accusations. You can just fold it, and then they are canceled, and it's extremely harmful to their careers, as we can see.
I mean, that's how they make a living, sure.
What were their particular feelings on what they were watching? Were they articulating that, or?
No, I just asked it for a list of names
Of people
Twitch
who are-
Twitch streamers specifically, that have been accused of, have been subjected to false allegations of sexual assault. And the bigger thing is, before it goes to court, they actually get deplatformed.
Right.
Right.
So, and that's just based on.
And they're all male.
And they're all male.
Repercussions first, and then you've lost your livelihood, your reputation's gone.
But that's
and then,
standard. That's been standard now for a while. That you'll be deplatformed. You will be canceled. And
now we talk about like due process in the court, but when you watch that video, unequivocally by like legal definition, I don't know if can we get around it? Like
get around what?
The fact that that's a sex assault. Like, is there any part of that video where you can argue like that is not
their standard? Under their
it's U.S. I suppose.
Well,
no, under the left standard.
Look, there's no doubt that if you touch a person's, part of their body or engage in something that is sexualized for a sexual purpose, it's a sexual assault.
Yeah, there's no room for ambiguity, really, right? I mean, she slaps the guy on the butt. We don't hear any consent being asked for. It can't be implied. It can't be advanced. It's not contextual. It's like...
Right. No, according to the definitions, you can certainly make an argument that there is sufficient grounds to charge for sexual assault, according to our Canadian law and the United States law.
Sufficient grounds. I mean, it seems almost dispositive, and by definition, there's no way around it. When I watch the video, how could you possibly get at any sort of consent? And it doesn't really square with my intuition.
You're just on the video alone, so we don't know. We don't know. The massage one is different, but when you're dealing with their employees and how they go about their programming and it's performative, I don't know what discussions they had. I don't know how they do things.
You can't give advanced consent.
I understand that, but you know me on this. I'm not an absolutist when it comes to this. I don't like where our society is headed in a sense of things that we would not have criminalized 10, 15, 20 years ago, we criminalize now for the sake of wokeness or for the sake of political correctness or satisfying somebody's f***ing interest. Yeah?
Have you seen any double standards in this realm within the courtroom? In any cases that you've...
Well, you don't often have a male accused. A male victim. You don't often have a male complainant. I should correct my language because I often do this. So I want to correct my language. You don't often have a male complainant.
Have you ever had one?
Yes, I have. So we had a case where he was charged with sex assault, and then we had pretty good evidence that one of the claims of sexual assault was actually the complainant mounting him when he was drunk and incapable of consenting. And we had the text messages immediately afterward from him going, "What the f*** were you doing? You knew I was drunk. I told you not to come into my room. I told you I didn't want any sexual contact." They were married and he wanted out of the marriage. And you insisted, and this is what you said to me, and this is completely wrong, and I want you out of my house. I'm not coming back to my house until you leave. He got f***ing charged, okay? So I gave the Crown Attorney everything. We laid it all out in a 276, 278 application. Crown was great, read it all and said, "You're absolutely correct," and withdrew the charges with a fairly good statement. That's the one case recently where I've had, within the context of a male being charged, that he was actually the victim.
But that's the whole point. He made the allegation,
but men
and he got charged.
Right, but men won't come forward also with.
I was going to say
this, unless in certain circumstances. Again, I was in the Public Cornwall inquiry years ago, which was about abuse of males within certain vulnerable sectors, and so we talked about how difficult it is for men to come forward, and that still is the way it is today. And there's no doubt that there are male victims of abuse, both physical and sexual, but it's not nearly as prevalent as it is with women, period. I mean, I'm not disputing that fact. That's absolutely accurate. But I also am one to talk about, how people interact during a particular type of performative social media thing that, it's more jocular in nature. You're interacting in a different way. There maybe is some argument for contemporaneous consent because you're involved in all of the same type of, it's a program, it's a thing that you're doing. And I
see your angle.
I think the massage was overstepping bounds. I think I personally don't think she should be in any way canceled for this. I don't think she should face charges. I see that she's trying to do things in fun and people play pranks, but when you get into the sexual type of pranks, it is highly problematic, especially if you're a fucking male. And it is what it is. I mean,
well, we've become very puritanical in this way, right? There's certain things we can't. I know I'm not either. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here and trying to expose that there's a tension at play. And
I don't. You have to give credit. This is why I don't want to be critical of Zoe or Lena, and if I get their names correct, because You know, they got 3 million followers. If they've got tons of views, they're creating content. They obviously are doing something successfully from a business standpoint, from an entertainment standpoint, and it means there's an audience.
I have a more cynical view of of her having an
what
audience.
I'm saying is, whether we agree with people's tastes or not, that's not my fucking job. This episode is sponsored by EasyDNS. EasyDNS is a domain name, registrar, and host that has a 30-year track record in the domain and web hosting industry. Whether it be cancel culture, platform attacks, or nefarious actors online, move your domain and web hosting over to EasyDNS, one of the most secure web hosting services, and help support Not on Record in the process. All you have to do is go to easydns.com/notonrecord, or when you sign up at EasyDNS, use the promo code NOTONRECORD at checkout. Thank you, EasyDNS, for your support of Not on Record, and now back to our podcast. Thank you. People can have the taste they want and whatever they desire, and obviously there's a market and an entertainment value to this to some extent. So do we look at every scenario and say, this is definitely wrong, this was morally wrong, this was sexually wrong, you should be charged, you should be canceled? Well, I don't think so. I don't think we should have double standards. I think we should look at context. I think should we be careful in not changing people's lives that drastically. I think maybe you offer an apology to the person who was the subject of the massage and say, I'm very sorry, I thought it was a joke. I didn't think you would really mind it that much. I'm sorry. And we can have some sort of reconciliation of these emotions and understand it. But I don't think we need to go further than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally agreed. I mean, the script now that people
DJ?
apply to...
Sorry, you're not in this podcast anyway. DJ?
Can I offer you a line of response?
Yeah, sure.
The double standard is why I'm here. That's why you're here. Because of the double standard.
Well,
defending people.
We're here. Well, but we're also because the weaponization of sexual assault and other types of allegations is a real phenomenon that people want to keep denying over and over and over. And I face it when I'm on media. And they talk about, we're protecting the criminals, we're not protecting the victims. It's the victims, everybody, and I'm like, well, holy shit. 1/3 of our cases are demonstrably false. So we see weaponization in many instances. We see weaponization when you don't agree with the speech that somebody is giving. So you're going to trump up a sexual assault charge against them. You will do all sorts of things you can to wipe out somebody who may be public because you don't agree with their opinions. There's weaponization of the criminal justice system and charges and sexual charges and all sorts of things. And I find that to be highly objectionable because we're living in an era that I think we don't tolerate other people's opinions and we don't allow for more of an expansive view of things that may be somewhat bad, somewhat criminal, not right. I certainly sympathize with how the victim of that massage felt, and it,
But it does sound funny calling him the victim of that massage. You know what I mean?
It shouldn't be funny because he was there without anybody giving him the heads up. He thought he was getting a massage from somebody who's a registered massage therapist, totally unrelated to what else was going on at that event.
What is this f***ing Victorian England? I'd much rather get the butt massage from some random stranger than punched in the face. Okay, and
But
one of them puts you on the
talking
sex
about.
offender registry, and one of them is like a simple assault peace bond. Maybe I don't know.
Well, no. If this was a guy, if this was a male who did that, it's not going to be peace bonded.
Yeah, if it's a male, exactly.
It's not going to be peace bonded. But I think we have to have allowance for, look, he's entitled to his bodily integrity and the privacy in that regard and boundaries being respected. And it clearly
But
wasn't.
nobody really feels that way. I don't think people intuitively feel that way.
So you're delegitimating. So
Yes, listen.
you're delegitimating what his actual emotions were. And here's something that we fight for. We fight for the fact that what we talk about a bit on this podcast, there are male victims of abuse, and that they are delegitimated on a regular and consistent basis and not believed.
Let me make a distinction.
And I can tell you that's what was at the core of some violence that occurred, in secrecy years ago. And that has to be overcome.
Let me make a distinction.
To be broken down.
The males that suffer abuse, this is often psychological abuse and financial abuse, sure. In the context of a relationship.
No, and sometimes physical.
Emotional and sometimes physical. But this is from a stranger. It's a prank. It's a butt massage. Like, okay,
But I don't want to delegitimate his feelings in any way, shape, or form. I think it calls for an apology. but I don't think it should result in
But
something
criminal
more serious.
charges, like there's a big difference
My
between.
standard on that is different. I don't think it should result in criminal charges. And
I agree.
I think her whole genre of the way she does things is around a jocular, prank nature, performative type of thing, and he just happened to be the target of that at that time. And it was it
Your
wasn't. It
Your
was bad.
Honor, it was just a prank.
It's not a defense, but we can, as a society, decide how often do we want to criminalize every fucking thing that happens.
This is exactly it.
Right?
This is exactly
so I don't
it.
think we should.
Like the script.
But I don't want to delegitimate how he feels in any way, shape, or form, because we are fighting very much for equalization of what it is to be a complainant or to be a real victim. That has to be recognized.
Michael has a client that I'm working on the file with, and this goes back to the point of men not always coming forward, so to speak. And altercation happens. There's some jealousy going on. He's got his hands up saying, don't touch me. I don't want to fight. Anyways, long story short, he's the victim of the false allegation of an assault. She's got, she presses charges on him. The police press charges on him after she alleges he assaulted her, and he's got a scratch on his face, some sort of result of the altercation. He didn't touch her, he says. And, one of the questions was, well, why didn't you have her charged? He said, I don't want to get her charged. I don't want to have a woman charged for a scratch in the face or something.
Well, the police may not charge anyways.
As well, but I think as males, we do have a basic intuitive understanding of the level, the playing field not being exactly equal.
Well, no, I look, we've had many male clients who said, especially in domestic cases, it's a mother of my children. I know we're not getting along and we're divorcing, but I don't want her charged. I got charged. I'm wrongfully being charged, but I just don't want to do that. Good for him.
Right. I meant on the physical level as well. Like that's a very involved emotional relationship, and I get where they're coming from. But even just like female on male violence, if it's more trivial, if it's not something serious, if it's not,
that's a double standard.
It is but maybe it should be a double standard, rightfully so. Like intuitively, we think like we are stronger than women, and we shouldn't be treating them as if it's completely equal, right?
I don't agree with that at all. No, I don't. If you don't want to delegitimate abuse against men, because we may be, in some respects, physically stronger, maybe, and not all are, that doesn't mean that you can be the subject of abuse. I'm sorry, I don't agree. I just think I think we have to use better judgment in both respects, male and female, as to what we're going to criminalize in particular situations.
Right. I suppose I mean the threshold is a little bit higher for making a claim when you're a man, like as to how much physicality is really involved. Because
you mean from the police perspective or from the complainant's perspective?
Even from the complainant perspective. I don't think the right attitude is that women are making frivolous complaints, so we as males, for equality's sake, should make more frivolous complaints and have them treated equally. As a society, we should not make frivolous complaints. Well, the counter argument will be, if you grab my wrist in an argument and I'm the female, that's not trivial, that was abusive. I mean, I am playing the devil's advocate, but if someone grabs your wrist, like,
what is your standard in the law? I believe that there are things that are de minimis in nature. There are certain instances where it doesn't deserve a criminal sanction. It deserves something far less than that. And I just don't think we should have double standards. But I also think if it was a male prankster with somebody who's working with him on a script, and she's part of this, and maybe a boundary is overstepped, but it's kind of all part of their genre and how they script these things and do their videos.
He made a statement after a public statement. I don't think it was scripted. He was like an assistant to the other streamer that was there.
Okay.
Right? But this is the thing. For every interaction, we freeze frame.
Well, clearly they're all working together.
And we microanalyze. And we're treating adults as if they're incapable of navigating any sort of social ambiguity.
But what does that mean?
It's infantilizing.
But in this case, if I understood correctly, the person, the male, who was the subject of this touching, was uncomfortable. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, and they weren't consenting, correct?
It certainly appears so.
That's what it seems from the reporting, right? And from the statement.
Yeah.
Well, That's a sex assault then.
And that's just how sensitive the threshold for sex assault is.
No, Sherlock. I know.
But this is what really comes
Yeah.
across to me in this kind of situation where, like, a regular person who's watching it might not look at it and say, "Oh my God, that's like someone should go to jail for what just happened." Like, it looks like
They're not
kids
saying necessarily go to jail, but I mean,
beyond the
somebody
sex
can be
offender
found
registry.
guilty of that.
It's a serious.
You don't automatically have to go on it, but
Right, but it's the criminal sanctions for sexual offenses are so serious.
just being charged is serious, especially in Canada. And going through the process is serious because that will stay on your criminal record.
Like this looks like
Even if it's withdrawn.
young kids like joking around. You know what I mean? It doesn't. Nothing about it. The massage, I agree. That one stands out a little bit as something else.
This was an unexpected victim of this. You know, they had no clue and they felt uncomfortable about it afterward. And actually says, I should have spoke up at the time. So you can, if we take that at face value, the person is having a bit of a difficulty with the fact that they didn't speak up, which is not uncommon that victims of this type of violence feels. I don't think we should delegitimate how that individual feels. I think we have to be very careful about it.
With the idea that this is some sort of violence. It feels like some...
Or is this type of performative, entertainment really appropriate? Because it steps over boundaries, and we're looking at this differently. It steps over boundaries, and this really shouldn't be a form of entertainment at all. Because you step over boundaries in some instances.
I'm not so comfortable with the censorship of comedy that far either.
Well,
it just seems very puritanical for our day and age when we're so sexually liberated and people view.
I
sex
think we're
as
sexually repressed now.
Yeah, I think we've gone to that point.
I think we've come
full circle.
We've f***ed up a long way since the '60s and early '70s. So I mean, I'm sorry. I see we're very repressed now.
Yeah,
and we view things in a very different way. I believe that a lot of value came out of Me Too movement because there are women who are suffering in silence and were abused and men in power. I get all of that, and there was value out of that, but we've come way too far. We've taken human interaction and turned it into a mathematical equation, and I think we've done things that are harmful to human interaction.
No, absolutely agree. And let me ask you this.
If this is a form of comedy, like I said, if this is a form of comedy or entertainment that obviously has an audience, what does that mean? Does that mean that we should ignore this and they should go on and enjoy this type of jocular type of entertainment, or do we say this type of entertainment steps over boundaries that we as a society says is not appropriate because you victimize individuals?
Well, you might say it's crass or it's crude or it's inappropriate in some respect, but a lot of comedy is inappropriate. Like, people have been making inappropriate comedy for a
Well, they're
long
not touching people on stage. When I think about comedy, I think about those who come up who are acting and or performing comedy, or you have SNL sketches where they kiss during a sketch or do various things, but it's clearly all part of their sketch.
Let me ask you about the damage, the harm done in this case. So you have the guy with the massage, for instance, right? And so we've moved away, the law says, from a sexual proprietary understanding of sex assault, such that like a virgin being spoiled by a sexual contact, or like the idea of purity is no longer at play. So something to do with it's like bodily autonomy and being able to decide your own bodily integrity now. So you said he felt uncomfortable. So is the harm that's been done is his feeling uncomfortable? Am I correct?
No, the harm done is that his right to bodily integrity was invaded inappropriately.
And we call that violence.
Well, it is. It's a form of violence. I mean, look, you got to be very careful about this, young one, my young Padawan. You got to be very careful about this because we're not, as defense lawyers, our job is to defend people, and we still have to have respect for the rule of law. We still have to have respect for the law that's on the books, and they're there for a reason, and people have a right to their own bodily autonomy and integrity. If they don't want somebody touching them, there's nobody that has a right to override that except in exceptional circumstances.
Now, I'm making a philosophical point here because, yeah.
Oh, boy.
I feel like a lot of these norms have been renegotiated in the time that I've been alive, since I've been growing up. And the world is a very different place than it was 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
And 20 years ago, I don't think people would have used the word violence to describe what we describe as violence now. So I do feel a little bit gaslit that no, like this isn't the understanding of violence, and I think it should be open to discussion whether we should really understand the concept of violence in those terms, whether that's illiberal or not.
I think that when if somebody's bodily integrity and autonomy is invaded, it is a form of violence. I don't think that's up for discussion.
You don't think it's up for discussion?
No, it goes both ways. I don't think it's up for discussion. I think it is a form of violence.
Well, it is interesting that the way that public reacts to these kind of things when the male is on the receiving end.
Well, I think there's the double standard. I think it makes it very harder for men to express themselves. I think he has a bit of shame and guilt that he was expressing for not speaking up at the time, which is something that women have said as well when they are real victims of violence. What I'm talking about more importantly is we have to be careful about double standards. We also have to give allowances in life for the fact where certain things that may occur within settings or contexts that are not meant really to harm, that somebody doesn't really have an intent to make somebody a victim, that they don't really want to use their power to harm them and invade their integrity, but it's part of they were joking. It was part of the fun. It's part of the dynamic that they were doing, and maybe they overstep boundaries and they say, "I'm sorry, and I get why this was wrong, and I apologize, but we shouldn't cancel them and we shouldn't weaponize the criminal system in these instances." I think we have to use judgment and discretion. And like I said, I don't know enough about these content creators who do this type of work. But certainly there is a market for their entertainment. So I think we have to think about this in a larger context and see, what do we think as a society, what we should enforce and what we shouldn't enforce and why. But we should not do it on a double standard basis. What's good for one it has to be good for the other. Or what's bad for one has to be bad for the other.
Why do you think there's a double standard? I think people secretly apply the proprietary concept.
Why am I losing my hair? I mean, it's so explanatory.
I think it's because the public are actually applying a proprietary standard for this kind of harm. And when they see a male, they don't find that to be any sort of damage to their sexual propriety because traditionally it never has been. So like we can try to explain it away or legislate it away, but the law is downstream of culture. And this, it feels very manufactured to me to be speaking in some of the ways that we are and viewing
I see a lot of what we are facing now is driven by segments of our society who are pushing a particular agenda and a particular culture, ideology, or philosophy, and they're winning. And they're winning that.
Which ideology?
We're far extreme from what we were talking about, but I'll leave that for another episode. But I just think we've come too far in some respects. And I think we have to use a balanced... I like balance. I like measure. I like objective, calm thinking about how we're going to deal with these things. I like to think about overall what was really meant behind this. Do we want to ruin somebody's life? No, we don't. If it's not particularly bad. I think we need to have nuance and measure in all of the way we deal with these things. And it goes for whether it's men or women or whatever gender you are in LGBTQ plus K, X, Y, Z, whatever. Everybody. We have to use measure and balance, in my opinion. I think this is a good example of how there are double standards and how if that was a male content creator, like that list that you pulled off of AI, there's a long list and we'll keep going. And that has to stop. Because in a lot of those cases, they're facing false accusations. And that's exactly what certain segments of our society who are pushing that agenda that I talk about are denying exist. There is no false accusations. False accusations are not used to silence people that you don't agree with. False accusations are not used to stop people whose opinions you don't agree with or they're doing things that you don't like. Yeah, it is.
I'd like to see them open a random box and read the disclosure and see what they find. Because I've been at this level. No, just in any of these boxes surrounding us of cases that we've worked. I've worked here for 3 months now, and it's replete with what appear very credibly.
Right, but what one viewer noted in commentary, we have a very distinct practice where we attract a particular type of client and type of case. We're not, we're a skewed sample. Okay, so we're not a fair representative sample. That said, I think it is beneficial because we're able to draw on not merely anecdotal evidence, but real data that we've gathered in cases to say this is a real phenomenon. It's real. It's not a myth. It's not a joke. And certainly these people who were on that list will agree.
Whether we're representative of the total data set or not, we are a good counterpoint to the absolute denial that this ever happens, right?
That false accusations happen.
Because I don't think we're making any claims of what percentage are false allegations or whether real violence does occur or not. We always say on the podcast there are real victims out there that deserve
100%.
justice. Yeah, it happens, and
of course it does. 100%. We've never.
we're not
denied
discounting that at all. But we see a lot of false allegations.
Right. Anyways, I
And
mean,
they do happen.
this was an interesting topic. I didn't even know that this existed. So, just goes to show how small focused my entertainment zone is. But anyways, it's interesting. Maybe we'll come back and see if there's any more development from this. But there's a lot of entertainers who face, false accusations for all sorts of reasons, and we have to be careful about it. And for those who do something maybe slightly askew, I think we have to have, like I said, balance, measure, nuance, whatever. I don't know. Was this interesting, everybody?
I think I really think
I mean, you're a young
landed
person.
on Santa's naughty list for this episode.
So I'm going to do Pillow Talk. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. The comments drive a lot of our content, which is really helpful. Thank you. Certainly having puppies around is really good. We'll be back with something coming up soon, which I keep promising. We're going to have a digital expert on soon to talk about AI and how we defend against fake messages and all sorts of digital evidence. It's going to be important. So hopefully we'll get that on before our winter break.
Is this going to be released near Christmas time?
I hope so.
2 weeks from now, right?
I hope so. This one for sure. But I want to get the digital expert on. So anyways, thank you. If you have any other ideas that you're interested in, please send us emails or comments. Thank you, EasyDNS, for being a sponsor. We love you.
Merry
Good night,
Christmas, everybody, and Happy Hanukkah.
And Kwanzaa and all
And
that.
Kwanzaa, etc.
And every other holiday that you want to observe and enjoy and have pleasure at. Good night.